Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Film Seizure. This week, we continue our month of remembrance for a couple of giants that we lost in early 2025. This is the second and, I guess, part two of the Gene Hackman two-part look. And this week, we're gonna talk about The Conversation. And
have a conversation about the conversation.
Have a conversation about the conversation. That right there is one of my co-hosts, Jason Oliver. Jason,
Howdy.
Doing all right?
Doing okay.
Doing okay. Also, as always, with us, Chuck Moore. Chuck, how's it going?
It's going. How's it going with you, buddy?
Hey, it's going all right. And I, of course, am Jeff Arbuckle, the biggest bugger in the Midwest.
I'm the biggest bugger in the East. Then the best bugger in the East. I will
Chuck
say
Chuck can take the West side.
Chuck, well, you don't know. Chuck would kill us if he got the chance.
Oh,
yes, I would.
Absolutely would. Absolutely would. Anyway, so this is Francis Ford Coppola's other movie in 1974. He had two movies nominated for Best Picture. This is not The Godfather Part 2.
We've done
We've done that one. We have done that one. So, we are ever so slightly working our way up to, I don't know, one of his really bad movies at some point.
Maybe one day.
It's
also John Cazale's second movie of 1974.
The man who never not starred in the Best Picture nominee.
Exactamundo. My favorite piece of trivia.
Yes. But anyway, one real quick thing because we're still talking about Gene Hackman here. I do want to back up real quick on something we never explained last week. Jason, what does you picking your feet in Poughkeepsie mean?
We never got to it.
We never said.
Oh my goodness, we left them hanging.
This is the ultimate tease of we'll get to it later.
Yeah, it is. Well, okay, good call. It ultimately means nothing, but it does mean something in the context of when you use it. So the guys who wrote The French Connection, who were the cops, they would use like non sequitur questions like that to confuse their marks, right? To get them like kind of flustered and get them like, what do you mean? Like picking my feet? Who's picking my feet? Where's Poughkeepsie, right? Like it was a way to get them off balance to ultimately maybe get to the bigger truth, right? So it was one of those sort of anecdotes or whatever that that Friedkin wanted, they put it in the script and then obviously they went with it in the movie, and it's so it doesn't mean anything, but it does contextually have meaning. Right.
There you go.
Yep.
You asked Jason to tell us that so we could hear him say Poughkeepsie again, right?
Poughkeepsie, yeah, because I can't say it.
You can't say that word
what
whatsoever.
What did I say? Poughkeepsie.
Poughkeepsie, yeah. Kopetsky's car wash.
Kopetsky's car wash, yeah.
Yes. I definitely wanted to hear him try that. I remembered after we finished the episode last week, I was like, oh no, we didn't explain it.
Totally didn't.
We threw everybody off kilter. But now,
at least I got John Cazale's name right, because I've called him Cazale in the past.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace. Sorry, buddy.
Yes. So, he died before you were born.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? Anyway. All right. So, moving on.
Pretty close anyway. What was it? When did the deer hunter?
He died in 78.
70. Yep. It was before I was born.
All right. So, moving on to The Conversation. This is an interesting movie because this is one of those movies where I have lots to say, and I have more to say about how I felt watching it than I did the plot itself. I think it's one of those really kind of special movies to where it makes you think about other things while the story is kind of happening to you, and then it's a special movie. I think
this movie is a masterpiece.
it's pretty good.
I think it might be Coppola's best movie. I was blown away watching this again. I had not seen this since I was in my 20s, maybe honestly my late teens. And I don't think I got it then at all because it never really stuck with me. Holy fucking shit, did this movie just absolutely blow me away. I related to it in ways I didn't expect, in ways I don't really want to admit. I thought that the way it's shot is just gorgeous. Like every way every scene is staged, the way everything is so meticulously placed. Like it honestly felt a little bit like Coppola's Kubrick film at times, like just so meticulous and so sterile, but yet also like this incredible deconstruction of this complex character, played somewhat ironically, I think, by Gene Hackman, because this is not the type of character you would expect from him. And I think it's probably the best performance I've seen Gene Hackman put in. It's just...
It's very understated, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's doing a lot with not saying much, but
he's very restrained.
Yeah,
right. But he's doing things at that micro level, right, where he's interacting with people, even when he's by himself, or when he picks up the phone. It's just like these little things are happening the whole time in this performance. It is kind of insane to me that he wasn't nominated for Best Actor for this. I don't really understand why, other than it was a pretty packed year.
Was it too close to it was the year before you got a Best Picture or Best Actor win, right?
No, it was 3 years later. It was 3 years later.
It was 3 years later. I think this is way better than his Popeye Doyle performance. I don't know. I was kind of insanely stunned by this movie. Like, I started watching it last night. I got about 20, 30 minutes into it, and I was like, oh, I don't think I can stay up for this, and I'll just pick it up tomorrow. And then I picked it up today, and I got about 10, 15 minutes into it. I was like, I got to go back to the beginning of this. It's like, I need to get the full, what is it, 100 minutes or so in a row. I can't split this up, and I did, and it was just like, it's stunning. I think it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. I'm just gonna say that.
Chuck,
I thought it was pretty good. It's I mean, yes, there's a lot of nuance to Hackman, and I get that this was, the 70s. I was a bit annoyed by the sound design. In some of it, and I know what it's trying to convey, but the robot noises, I was like, I've had enough of that. Can they stop with that noise, please? Like seeing him dial it in over the 3 separate recordings and all that, like that was really cool shit. But it's good. I like it.
So it was harkening back to Robo Wars for you.
Robo Wars. I don't even remember that one.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Was I mad at that movie?
No, but it had the goofy like the robot noises throughout the whole thing that we made fun of. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just it's weird too, because I know it serves a purpose, right? Like it's obviously there to let you know what's going on and keep you in the same kind of shrouded understanding of what they're talking about too. It's just, I don't know, it annoyed me for some reason.
It didn't really do that for me, but I get it. I can kind of get it. I mean, especially considering this movie's what, like 40 years old now?
50.
40 years? 50? No, it's not 50 years. So 40.
54.
74 to 2025.
50
or 51.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's kind of insane. Like, think about when this movie came out. they were in the silent era 50 years before this.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah,
I mean, Gene Hackman was in his 40s when this came out, right?
Yes.
Yes, he was literally
just-
44 years old. I looked it up. I was like, all right, so the card says he's 44. And then I looked it up, and he was actually 44 when the movie came out, at least. And then he says he's 42.
Which is funny.
Which is very funny, which is part of his character that I think we'll deconstruct as we go along here.
I had the exact opposite as far as the sound design reaction, because this movie is made for sound. It's like in a lot of ways it's like Blowout, right? It's you're learning about sound.
We're moving backward. We're moving backward from Blowout to the conversation to Blow Up, right?
Yeah.
Because Blow Up was the inspiration for this movie, and Blowout was totally De Palma riffing on Coppola, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's fascinating to me that we have to do Blow Up at some point. We have to. It's a necessity at this point.
Absolutely. No, but no, I mean, like, I found it all really, like, this is one of those kind of classic movies where it's like, it's kind of teaching you how you can get clear sound out of something, like it teaches you a little bit about surveillance. It teaches you a little bit about recording sound. It teaches you a little bit about the importance of sound.
But that's different than the actual sound you're hearing. Like, I think all of that is cool too. I was just annoyed with that one particular sound.
Oh no, I mean, like, the whole time that I was hearing that, I was like, that's going to become a voice, and it's got to be dialed, and it's like, yeah, we eventually get there, but like, it didn't, like, I was like, how are we going to get that to turn into something we recognize?
All he's really doing, though, like, he does use that one box to one time to modulate, but really it's just 3 separate recordings, and he's finding the one that has the voice on it.
Yeah,
he's not doing anything.
Yeah,
he's not doing anything to it except for the one time with the box.
Yeah,
I think likely he has a little bit of all of it in each of the 3.
Yeah, and he's turning them up and down.
Right,
yeah.
and he's merging them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
but he does
science, but
well, no, but I mean, but like, it's not
neat.
something that I had really ever thought about. It's like I hadn't thought about, like, oh, okay, well, how do I,
You've kind of done it on this podcast, though.
Well, yes, but
I mean, it's a little different. It's just volume, right?
Honestly, you've done more like creative, sound manipulation.
Not
on
especially
this podcast than you have back then. Like, seriously, the way they record it is interesting. I mean, we're talking about
that's what I'm getting to.
But we're talking about 50-year-old technology here,
right? But what I'm getting,
impressive now.
What I'm getting to is the idea that you have 3 completely separate recordings.
Sure.
Like, I get all of this in one track, basically, right? Like, I don't have to do any lineup stuff. This is like, it's like it. I mean, like, even to think about that there were syncable tape players.
Well, he made that.
Well, but like, the idea that you could even get that to sync up as perfectly as it can to where he can then switch from A to B to C, and we lose one because the guy gets made. So now we lose one
right,
of the
recordings. We lose that
right.
track, yeah.
So, but like, and then that's where the modulation has to come in, because, it's like, you have to work with what's left. I mean, the thought of that, it's 50-year-old technology, but it's still 50-year-old technology regardless if it's improved or not, that I hadn't really thought about, because I don't have to record 3 separate things. It all just comes through in one track, in one source, so it's like, I don't have to really do anything more here. To
me, the technology is not the point.
Well, no, but I mean, but there
I
is
find
some
it interesting, and
yeah.
I think, and in 1974, it probably was like it heightened the interest and the intrigue of this movie.
Oh, well, I also
I
would
do
say
also really find the subculture interesting. Like, I think that's a
yes.
component of this movie that I think is really fascinating because that still exists today. Like subculture,
Oh, yeah.
even audio subculture exists today. Surveillance subculture exists today.
Oh, absolutely.
In fact, it's probably more relevant now than ever, right?
Yeah. And, you know, but I mean, but like, I also think that this movie, like, in that regard, is also, like, it is a little more naive about the idea that there is a surveillance convention to which that anybody conceivably could go to. Like, because they're asking, it's like, are you in law enforcement or are you doing this on your private? You know, and it's like,
right.
and so I'm like, oh my God, it's like, not only
But it's
is
the 70s, man. It's
I
the
know,
70s, right?
but like, not only is it like Harry Call like hot shit at this convention, but I was also like, wait, there's a surveillance convention also?
You
know, it's
probably
like,
had to have
of
a
course.
license of some sort to get in. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean,
Maybe
like,
not. It's 74. Yeah.
I mean, they did ask a guy, are you in law enforcement? Or are you doing this on your personal time?
yeah.
You know, it's like
That's true.
100%. There are jealous husbands there.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
All
sure.
be-
And
all
private
being-
investigators wouldn't be law enforcement either.
Right.
That's true.
But yeah, and it's like, I mean, I guess you do have to have a license to be a private investigator.
You do.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I don't
like,
know what
there's
kind of license Harry has.
what kind of license does Harrison Ford have?
Right.
He's there. You know.
Well, fair enough. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, at least Harry has more reason to be there than Harrison Ford.
Well, we can purchase all sorts of things that we have to have a license to use, right? Like you can buy a bunch of fucking fishing equipment, but you need a license to actually use it. And if you get caught using it without, you
we
get in
can
trouble.
buy
It's got to
all
be the same
sorts of
thing.
tiny cameras now as well, and tiny audio recording devices, and nanny cams, and all
And
sorts.
none of that stuff you don't need a license for.
But if you were using it to
Right.
spy on someone, then yes, you'd probably get in trouble.
Like, yeah, where was the camera and the teddy bear at the convention, right? I mean, yeah, because yeah, you're right. All that shit exists. Everything the phone tapping was probably the most like dicey of it all.
right, but it's just like I even see that, like, how do I say this? Like bootleg man being at a convention. He is selling something that he should not be.
I also love
not to call
the
him
fact-
out, but it's
I also love
he's
the
at a
fact
convention.
that they're selling equipment that they didn't even really believe it worked that well, right? Like the one guy was like his whistle. What was it? The harmonica tone.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
a bunch
like,
of bullshit.
that to me was just smoke and mirrors. He's like, yeah, this sells well in the catalog, is what he said, right?
Yep.
So they're selling a bunch of bullshit too. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
because he
I
even
mean-
staged the whole thing to have his wife like it sound like she's having an affair, and he's like, it's all fun and games, guys.
Right. Exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
so that was not a demonstration.
Right. It was carnival barking. It was snake oil.
The one thing that is interesting though about the technology is this came out before Watergate. There was or no, I don't think it came out around the time of Watergate. It was all shot before Watergate. There's that line in the movie. The East Coast king of surveillance says that he was tapping a major political party. I won't say which one, right? All that shit was like prescient. None of that was commenting on Watergate, which blows my goddamn mind. Like, that is amazing stuff. And that's why Coppola even thinks that the reason the movie resonated so much is because it came out around the time of Watergate, and people were just like caught up in that entire conspiracy and all the mechanics behind it. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah, so let's start at Union Square.
Yeah.
So all of this takes place in San Francisco, and
Home of American Zoetrope. So
yes,
so you've got Coppola shooting in his backyard.
yeah, and and relatively cheaply too. I mean, this isn't a very expensive movie. I like to imagine that if they just made this exact same movie again just today, it would be like a $400 million movie.
Oh, like Enemy of the State.
Well, like Enemy of the State, sure, but
they'd be getting the sound from planes and like,
yeah, right. I mean, but but it would be like, but I mean, like the budget would just be ridiculous. It's like, how is this expensive? Like, I mean, like $1 million, sure, I see it. It's like that's $1 million movie, sure, whatever. But like, yeah, it's just
well, Gene Hackman would cost $20 million to be in it,
right?
These days, right?
Yeah. well,
not
yeah,
Gene Hackman, but someone of his like.
You'd have to resurrect his corpse, but yeah.
Well, that would be expensive, Jason. I mean, necromancy is really pricey.
It is so expensive. I've looked into it. It's
I mean,
wow.
it not only is it tens of millions of dollars, but it also costs your soul.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and you can't put a price on your soul.
Well, I can. I mean, depends on what bills are coming due. Anyhow, so basically we're kind of zooming in on what we think is a mime, because that mime, oh my God, he needs to be punched.
All mimes need to be punched, though. I mean, he's just a normal mime that needs to be punched.
He's a normal punchable mime.
They all need to be punched.
Yeah, like he's following people around. He's like, oh my God.
He should have been part of the recording.
That would have made sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he follows that couple around too. I know it's for the movie, right?
Yeah,
But
like, it's like he then goes up to and like starts like doing the same, parroting what like Gene Hackman is. And it's like mime guy. Nobody wants you around. You think Gene Hackman wants you around? I mean, like, come on now. But but really what we need to focus in on is a young couple, one half of which is Cindy Williams.
This might be a good time to mention your little piece of trivia, because this sequence, the overhead portion of it, was shot by Haskell Wexler.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the only portion of this movie that was shot by him. The rest of it was shot by someone
Bill
else.
Butler. Yeah. So Haskell Wexler was originally the cinematographer for this movie. He and Coppola did not get along at all, and he got shit canned. And Bill Butler came in to film the rest of the movie. Now, not technically the following year, because this movie was made a couple of years before it was released. But timeline wise, the next movie, or the next year's movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, began with Haskell Wexler filming that. He got relieved because he says he thinks it was because of he was working on a documentary or something
about
also
the Weather Underground. Yeah.
And Bill Butler came in and finished that, and they got nominated for best cinematography for Cuckoo's Nest, but
it's kind of like the opposite situation, because Haskell Wexler shot maybe 1%. He shot maybe arguably the most famous scene in the movie, the overhead shot in the conversation, and he shot most of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Bill Butler came in and finished it. He shot very little of that movie, but they both got co-nominated and co-won. Yeah.
No, they did not win for...
They didn't win for that?
No, they didn't win for Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah.
Lame.
Cuckoo's Nest, the winners of the Big Five, I think all three of those movies only won those Big Five.
Well, there's another interesting thing about Haskell Wexler, though. He and Coppola were contemporaries. They knew each other. It wasn't just like a off the wall hiring, because Wexler shot American Graffiti, and of course Coppola produced American Graffiti for George Lucas, and Coppola had quite a bit of money tied up in American Graffiti. And what was interesting was George wanted to shoot American Graffiti with no DP. He wanted it to be all natural light. He had just camera operators. He had 2 camera operators, no DP. What they found out was that with natural light and camera operators and no one actually pulling focus or understanding how to pull the focus in a scene, like that with natural light is that you got no depth of field, and it was all blurry, and it just didn't work, right? So they called in Haskell Wexler, and he was able to add like just a little bit of judicial lighting here and there, and then able to like really pull the depth of field with and use the natural light that they had to still get the authentic feel that they wanted, but actually make it look good on screen, right? So he kind of saved that movie. And then he got fired from this one. And it was all about backlighting, apparently. There's a story, I know you can find it online, of Walter Murch. He tells a story about Haskell Wexler getting fired. And it was all about disagreements on how to light certain scenes. Wexler just didn't agree. And they took a break for Christmas. And then Coppola announced to the crews like that Wexler wouldn't be coming back. Yeah, yeah. So there you go.
So did he shoot the rest of the going around the square?
I don't think he shot anything on the ground. I think he just shot I could be wrong about that, actually. I don't know. I think he just shot the overhead stuff, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically we are focused on Cindy Williams and this other guy who looks super familiar, but I can't figure out who it is based on the cast that we're given.
Yeah.
Because all the other casts that I can click on are way too old. But anyway, they are, just seemingly having like a mundane conversation. They're talking about, it's like, oh, what did you get me for Christmas? Or, but it's very clear that they are nervous about being spotted together or being listened to. They are simply just taking laps around Union Square. That's it. And for the mundane elements of their conversation, it seems odd that they're not sitting down or staying stationary. But you have a couple of people who are, so you have Gene Hackman, who is in the square with them. You have another guy who's walking around with a hearing device. Like one of those big white with the cord. My dad had one of those when I was a kid. They worked really well. They just
as a hearing device.
Well, it was a. You could plug it into like a tape recorder or something. She calls it a hearing aid, but it looked more like an actual like speaker, like a earbud.
Yeah.
But anyway, then you have two guys in building, or you have one guy like on top of a building and you have one guy in a building, and they're basically triangulating this area. You don't know why they're recording these people, and you don't really understand what's important about this conversation. However, the guy walking around with the earpiece gets spotted after Harry, who is Gene Hackman, has returned to like the central station, which is just a disguised van where John Cazale is taking pictures of girls who come up to fix their makeup. It's like, come on. So stick to the task there.
Focus.
The boyfriend or the dude in the conversation is Frederick Forrest.
Oh, okay.
He's been in lots of stuff you've seen, so you probably do recognize him from somewhere. He's in the Two Jakes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
He looks. Everybody looks so much older. Like some people,
it's 70s age.
Everyone looks so much older. Like even young people look really old.
Oh yeah, Terry Garr looks like really old in this movie.
Yes, it's so weird. He was born in 1936, so he would have been, I guess, 38 in this movie. The guy that the Cindy Williams' counterpart.
Yeah, mid-30s when it was
He
shot.
actually looks about right. He looks about right. But those old man wire rimmed glasses just make everyone look so much older.
He looks kind of like Paul Simon too.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
Definitely.
Yeah, so basically they watch until the couple go away. Now there is one thing that does, like, the only thing that you really get an idea of really what they are doing together, or like what their conversation is really about. You hear something about Christmas, you hear something about not knowing what one of them is going to get somebody, and they talk about the homeless man sleeping on the park bench. And you hear these segments a lot as they are, as he's kind of splicing the tape together. And that got me kind of thinking, it's like, I get a strange vibe sometimes when there are just people doing mundane things that seem like a fleeting moment in time, but it meant something at the time, if that makes sense. Like there's something kind of haunting about that. Like these are two ostensibly young lovers who are just spending their lunch break at Union Square, which, yes, they are walking around in circles and they do seem to be talking about something, but there's a lot of, what's the word I'm like, just mundane elements to it that feel fleeting.
I never got the feeling they were just on their lunch break. I got the feeling that they were hiding out there so they could talk.
Yeah.
Well, sure. I mean, that's obviously what they are doing, but yeah.
Right, but that's what it feels like to me. It didn't feel mundane. It felt purposeful, especially when she said, say something funny, which I think you hear in the first conversation as well. And it's like, okay, well, they know.
Well, she's also like,
that they're potentially being taped.
Look at him,
yes.
I mean, there is definitely like a
there's sense. Paranoia with her.
Yes,
absolutely,
and that we're being watched. Yeah. And we need to try to avoid being watched. Yeah,
but there are other elements that don't feel quite as paranoid. Like,
well, yeah, I think they're trying to cut. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's not worth going into this too far, but they are trying to make it seem like they are not doing anything wrong.
No, but I mean, like that whole conversation about like the homeless man does kind of feel like that was a real thing that they would have talked about anyway. Not that they're using that to cover up something. They're out in the open when they talk about him.
I also think she is expressing her actual feelings at the time, not about the man, but how she feels afraid for herself.
Yep.
Like nothing she's ever talking about is really about the things she's talking about.
Sure.
If that makes sense. That's the sense I got from it.
Once you get the full recording, yes, I agree with that. I think that there are elements. I think one of the great things about this movie is how something is said one way, or you think of it one way, but then you hear it a different way later.
I also think a lot of those elements resonate with Harry.
Yes.
That's why he becomes so obsessed by it. It's why he breaks his cardinal rule of curiosity.
He's the same kind of person she is.
Yes.
In a lot of ways. And I think, Jeff, part of what you're saying is definitely true. As the picture becomes clear, you learn a bit more about what the actual tone of that stuff is. But the fact that this movie is called The Conversation, and it's about this talk, gives it a lot more weight. At least it did to me, because I'm like, this is important.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, I do think, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is, like, sometimes things can be, like if you were able to eavesdrop on every conversation, which, oh my God, it would be so loud and annoying and irritating. But like, if you were able to do, like, you could pick up certain things that could mean, that could certainly have double meaning, but it could also just be very innocent and very very mundane.
Well, yeah, unless you have all the context, you can't put together the full picture.
Well, that's the whole
point
of Cazale's character. It's like, this is the most boring conversation ever. Like, what are we doing here? Right?
Yeah, he's a person who is simply does his job because he can do a thing, not because he's good at the thing.
And he wants the lasciviousness of it.
Yes.
He relishes in the juicy bits, right?
And really, Harry wants not the juice. Yeah, he doesn't care about the lasciviousness. Harry is trying like hell to separate himself from the recording.
Yes,
but he still needs to have he's talking a big game maybe in the beginning when he's like, I just want to produce the biggest, fattest recording out of this shit, dude. You need to shut up.
He has the
I don't know anything.
The ethics that he fronts, and he has the ethics that he internalizes, and then that he fights against. Right.
That's his Catholic guilt there.
And that's exactly right. And
he says.
There's a very important thematic element to that as well with him.
Yeah. He says, I don't know anything about curiosity. I don't know anything about human nature. That's not part of my business.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, I just think that there are, I think that the titular conversation that we're hearing, and that we only hear bits of it first and we get all of it later, the way it's acted, particularly the way that Cindy Williams says her lines, I think is really, really good. I think because it's part of it is kind of, at times it's wistful, at other times it's kind of sing-song, at other times it's very, there's a worry to it, like yes, they're having a tryst, so it's like there is apprehension, there is paranoia, but it's like it's all in there. And when you get the full context, it could go one way or another. It could mean nothing, it could mean everything. And of course the movie would be. You said sing song. What song does she sing? Because that is an interesting part of this movie. When the Red Robin comes bop bop pop.
Yeah.
That comes up later it does in an interesting way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, I mean, we're getting all these little bits and pieces of this conversation. We're getting some of it. We're getting, Cazale's character is kind of like dismissing it all. Harry is kind of like, no, we need it all. We need all the audio. This is a job. He's like very.
It may not be important to
professional about it. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's juicy to you. Like, this is the job.
It's important to somebody.
And then then there's the audience who is kind of like the voyeur here to both parties. Like, we're looking in on the van and all the machinations of that, but we're also trying to piece together what this conversation means, because, like, to Chuck's point, we know it's important. We know that this scene is important. Of course it's important, right? So we're trying to start to piece it together as well, but there's an intrigue that builds naturally out of all of that.
Yeah, and he's piecing it all together. He is going to he's going to go meet, is because he basically says, all right, we've got everything that we can give here. And he decides to go meet the quote unquote director.
Yeah.
It's bad news when, one, you can't ever directly talk to the guy, and two, he doesn't have a name. It's like, he's potentially
famous actor who's not even credited.
Yeah,
it's Robert Duvall in the long
Boo
run.
Radley
yes.
himself.
Yeah.
He's standing in the corner later.
Yeah.
Behind the door.
I kind of wish he were, with like darkened eyes, behind the door.
The Boo Rector.
Boo Rector, hardly Boo knew him.
Hardly boo him.
Anyway, so basically he goes to the building, and I love how this is just presented here, because first he sees the guy, And he gets into the elevator, which is empty at the time, and it's a real close shot. And you can tell, like, he is not comfortable with this because now this person that he's heard all this conversation with, like, he's in the very same building that the director is in.
Yep.
Oh, that means something. And that, and his spidey sense is starting to tingle a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the door opens at one floor and an inrush of people come in, and he's now crowded, and worse, Cindy Williams is now there.
I think that's when he's leaving with the recording, but yeah.
This is later.
Well,
yeah.
they're in the elevator at the same time because he backs away
when he's leaving.
They are. But this is before. Like he talks to Harrison Ford first.
Yes. Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I think one of the best shots in the whole fucking movie. It's so simple. It's when he is directed to sit and wait. And he sits, and there's the static wide angle shot of the waiting area, and it's just like the slowest of pushes with the camera, and you think it's gonna go all the way, push, and then it cuts, and now he's in Harrison Ford's office, and Harrison Ford's offering him Christmas cookies.
Christmas cookies from his wife. Yeah.
They're good.
They're good.
They're good. Yeah.
And so that's when they have the conversation, and that's when it's like, well, just give it to me. The director said you could just give it to me.
Here's your money.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's when the Spidey tingling goes off. He's like, oh, well, I was supposed to give it to the director personally.
That whole deal.
That's when Harrison Ford
changes.
starts to like kind of like threaten him, passively threaten him, right? Like people could get hurt.
And then there's the one, like, this has to be one of those acting moments when he takes the cookie back to the jar and then he grabs it and then they're fighting over it. I was like, yeah, that's good shit. That's good shit.
You got to be right. I bet you that is like one of those actor moments.
Yeah.
Like they're both protecting their character. Yeah. But that's when we have he sees the guy from the conversation. What was his name again?
Frederick Forrest is his real name.
Yes, and then he gets in the elevator, and that's the whole scene you described, Jeff, where Cindy Williams comes into the elevator with them. So yes, like he's kind of, it's really kind of a tense scene because he makes it tense.
Yes,
right.
Oh, everything he does makes it worse for himself.
Yeah. At first, when he can't go anywhere, he's just kind of trapped, but he's got everything up to his chest. He looks scared. And then as soon as the elevator clears out, he like gets as far away from her as possible.
Yeah.
But stares at her.
Yes. Yeah. And then
you want to trust his instincts, right? As an audience member, you want to trust his instincts, but at the same time, just like, what's the big deal?
But we also know
we haven't even heard anything yet.
Right. And we also know that Harrison Ford has followed him out of the office too. And he's down at the end of the hallway looking at him.
Looking at him.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Man, I mean, like Harrison Ford, most of his career, good guy, he is very unnerving in this movie.
He is.
Because every time he shows up, something it ratchets things up a little bit.
I'll tell you what. That he is supposedly playing this as a gay man?
I had heard that at some point along the way. That like he
made the cookies.
He wore the green suit and everything. He probably made the cookies. But he's like in, what do they call it? Like a velvet marriage or whatever? Not a velvet marriage. Is that right? Is that the right term?
You mean a marriage that
is for show?
Props you up as a straight person. Yeah.
I wonder. Well, because he is a little bit the like if you think of he's all I'm going to say is I never got that impression from his performance in this. I think 50 years on, I never in a million years would have thought he was playing it gay.
Lavender,
yes, thank you. Close enough.
But yeah, he is kind of a Mr. Smithers of sorts to the director, right? Like he's always the one that everybody deals with, and he's the one who's protecting the director later. It's like, I just wanted you to know what you have here or what's going on here, or, that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I did hear that, but I didn't, obviously I didn't think of it until you brought it up.
In relation to that is actually pretty apt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. It was just something I read, and I was like, I didn't catch.
You guys will have to explain something to me, because there's one other thing that I kind of marked this movie down for, and it's in relation to Stet, but it doesn't come until much later.
I know exactly what it is.
If you can explain it to me, I might raise my appreciation of the movie, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I have two things on it that I think might. But yes, when we get there, we get there. But I got to. I'll be right back.
All right.
So
I'm gonna leave too. No, I'm just kidding.
You did that to me the other time. Oh my God, I wanted to quit right then. Anyway,
you had a real film seizure.
Yeah, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm done.
So yeah, he rides the elevator and he leaves. I can't actually. So there's so much of this movie that's like the same thing.
Yeah, it's repetitive, but every time it repeats itself, it
adds a little bit
more.
Yes.
Yeah, because at this point, because just based on my notes, this is when he goes back, and this is actually when he tells John Cazale that he doesn't know anything about Curiosity. He doesn't, because that guy Stan is like, why are you obsessed with this? This is nothing. This is just get paid, get us paid, and let's get out.
Yeah, because just to add a little color to that, he had handed the tapes over. He was wiping his hands of it.
Yep.
But once he took them back and then saw those two there, he's like, no, I have to figure out what I actually recorded.
Right. Because this is when he hears the most important piece of the conversation,
which is
kill us if he got the chance.
Yes.
And that's what he uses the modulator to zero, because that was the one thing that was out of reach of all of the microphones at the time, and was coming through muffled and distorted.
Yeah, you had to get that little box thing.
Yeah, to get the box out and modulate it out. And oh my God, that is, because it makes, it really does put into Harry's mind that these people are in trouble. These people
they're in danger.
They're in danger. And I love, oh my God, the twist to that line, I think, is brilliant.
I wanted to go back and listen to it to hear inflection, but I didn't do it.
Right. But yeah, so basically at this point, he hears that all important, he'd kill us if he got the chance. And now he's really freaked out. But it's also time to go to the convention, which I get it, man. Everything stops. You got to go to the convention.
Yeah.
It's like these guys are going to live at least a little bit longer.
Who knows? Next year it might not come back through town. It might only go to Cincinnati. So you got to go.
Exactly.
So true.
Exactly.
Fucking travel to the next surveillance conference.
And Bootleg Man may not be there. Anyway.
That's two Bootleg Man references.
I know.
Bootleg Man references.
But yeah, so this is when he goes there, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's Harry Call! It's Harry Call's here," and it's like, man, he's hot shit at this point. People want him to take their stuff and promote it and stuff, and it's get his seal of approval on it, and
even just a picture with you holding it would be wonderful. Yeah,
and he's already fucked off to the next booth. Yeah, it's like, man, that's like walking through Artist Alley. If you're not careful, you make eye contact with the wrong guy. It's on, man. You got to figure out a way out.
I know I missed it when he was doing it, but when he was dialing it all in, I was thinking of the Phantom of the Paradise, who's like filters,
Dolby's.
I said that out loud. I was like, filters, Dolby's. He'd kill us if he got the chance.
Yeah, and so this is where kind of the second act kind of exists. Is this night, basically.
Yeah.
Because he and his buddy, he's doing the thing that people do with conventions. That you meet up with buddies, you have good times.
It seems a little out of character for Harry, though.
It does.
He's pushing himself here. Right?
Oh, I should say before he went to the convention, after he heard that he'd kill us if he got the chance, because this was also when he got mad at John Cazale for wanting that. This is when he went to the before the convention, he went to the priest and confessed.
Yes.
And he was like, things I've done have gotten people hurt.
Yes. And also, I think this is interesting, like the confessional in general, thematically, is fascinating to me because, and this is not necessarily me like gleaning this is Coppola, but he was like, Coppola said that the confessional was the first surveillance tactic, right? It's like, that's interesting.
It reads like surveillance in that scene too. Yeah.
It's like, that's interesting. I mean, I really like that that motif, right? Like we're kind of getting this idea of surveillance through the ages a little bit and how it's become inherent in Harry, right?
Yeah. Well, and also we didn't even really get into the Terry Garr scene because that happened.
We gotta talk about that too.
So when he left the office and before he went back to work more on the recording, he went to Terry Garr's apartment. This is her only scene in this movie. He shows up and she's like so excited to see him. And he's like, it's my birthday. Let's have a
Well, you got to talk about the fact that he stands at the top of the stairs for minutes.
Right.
Before he decides to go in. And it's like, you don't even know why yet he's like this, but
Yeah. And so like, he's just a distant person. Like he doesn't share much of himself. Cause she's like, I didn't even know it was your birthday. How old are you? Well, not the age he really is. Like he's not letting anybody in and he doesn't really seemingly likes to be around people.
Right.
Because he had also
wine that he was mystified that we even got into his apartment. Right.
Because his landlady has the key.
Right. Right. Yeah, and
it's like I'm the only person that has a key to this place.
He's very protective of his privacy, right?
Well, because he was even saying it's like from this point forward, I'm going to have all my mail delivered someplace else.
Yeah. And there was a contradiction in it too, because he says he's very protective of his privacy, but he also says that, well, yeah, if there's a fire, I don't really care. I don't have anything that I care about. So it's like, whoa, what is it really? It's this protective shield, right? Like he is this isolation from himself and others that really is like just as a barrier emotionally that is manifested as a physical barrier as well, right?
But he's also as a surveillance guy, he's how do I say this? You take the littlest things about people and can paint a picture about them. He's afraid that anybody who sees that he drinks orange juice might be able to glean something about who he is. Yeah. So
it's a little bit of projection. It's a little bit of turning the like what would somebody find, it's like anybody could be doing the same thing to me, which, we'll get there too, I guess. But
these are all like characteristics of him though that are so important. Like 3 locks on the door. He's got an alarm system, which is probably not common in 1974 in an apartment complex. He's paranoid about the fact that his landlord has access to his apartment and
is apparently reading his mail.
And is right. Yes. But then he also at the same time says he doesn't have anything of interest that he cares about if it went up in a fire, right? It's like, whoa, who is this guy? The confessional scene, like, all right, he's religiously devout. He's got Catholic.
Yeah, because he's got a Madonna too,
right?
And don't use the Lord's
so fucking important
name
later. He won't use the Lord's name in vain. He
not even Christ's sake.
Cazale for it. He basically runs Cazale off because of it. And then the scene with Terry Garr, which, yes, we're back at that.
Yeah. So, and he won't say anything to her when she asks him certain questions. Like, she's like, it's like he just gets up and moves away from her. And then, which even causes her to kind of bop her head against the headboard.
She asks him how old he is, and he lies.
Yeah.
Like 2 years
Yeah.
only, which is
Yeah.
weird.
It is weird.
It's very close to the truth. And then she sings that song.
Yeah.
And
And
he
he's like-
immediately has a reaction to that. Like,
Yeah, it's like,
why
why'd
are
you sing
you
that?
singing that? Because he thinks that the act of singing that song could tell him something about the conversation.
Right.
Right?
Well,
When
yeah,
really-
or he's just so paranoid, like she's a part of all of this
That
stuff
too.
that I'm.
that too, yeah.
Something I don't understand about that song, right?
Well,
Yes.
because like I mean, how do people fall into conspiracy theories? Because they can't figure out, they can't reconcile something that's happening with the way they view the world. And
She also, oh, I'm sorry.
But then
no,
she
and I was just
also-
saying, I
but then
think he's
she
falling
also-
into that as
Then
well.
she also outs him. On
Yeah,
all of
sometimes I
his-
think you're listening to me.
Boom.
And I've seen you sit at the top of the stairs for an hour and not come in.
Uh-huh.
Like, so he's
You put the key
like,
in real slow and quiet, and then the door opens real fast, like you're
Like-
gonna catch me in the middle of something.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's
And he takes his work everywhere he goes with him. And
But he also
then-
has like it's terrible trust issues, right?
yeah,
anxiety, trust, paranoia,
Yeah.
like
guilt.
in all facets of
All
his
of it.
life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And and like because she kind of tells this, she kind of paints a picture that's kind of heartbreaking in a way, where it's like, it's like when you came in, first of all, I didn't think you were coming here tonight, and when you got here, my feet did a little dance under the covers, but now I'm not going to wait up for you anymore. I'm kind of done with this. And and it's like he just has to, he's like back to his solitary, like he's done this to himself, basically.
Well, this is the last, like, obviously she's been trying to break down his exterior for however long, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, it's your birthday. It's time to, like, give
To
up
let
the
loose,
goods.
yeah.
Give up the
Well,
goods.
yeah.
Let me into your life. And he
Well, and,
refuses.
Well, she even tries to toy with him a little bit by, when he says something about that song, he's like, well, why is it? It's like, I heard a girl sing, it's like, oh, I'm jealous. And she's like laughing about it, but it's like, to him, it's deadly serious. It's like, no, I'm not giving you shit.
You're a girl
it's
at
like-
work. Where do you
Yeah.
work? Various
Exactly.
places.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, this isn't going to fly with any kind of relationship, the way he reacts with people.
Right.
And then she even says it at the end of like he's that's the other fascinating part is he's like, your rent is due. Here's the money for it. So he's paying for her rent.
Yeah.
Right? So he's almost treating her like a whore, right?
I mean, yeah, she's a warm pair of arms for him to fall into when he
Yeah.
to it, which isn't that
It's
often.
It's transactional.
Yeah.
And then as he's leaving, she says, she says the part about the toes curling. And it's just so sad and so tragic. And she's like, but I don't think I can wait for you anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it.
Until the end of next month when I need my rent paid again.
Maybe.
No, I
But-
don't. That's a joke, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because in 2 days she's disconnected the phone and fucked off out of his life.
She has disconnected the phone. He's like, actually.
Well, she's disconnected him, is what she's done.
And it's interesting because it almost feels like he wants to invite her out. Like
Right.
he's maybe reached a point where I want to bring her to the party, right?
But I
Yeah.
think he's worried that says something about him.
Well,
Because she's obviously a younger woman.
But I think the ship has sailed. I think when he calls
Right, well,
her,
sure.
I think when he calls her, that's my interpretation. I could be wrong because immediately after that, we have the scene with Harrison Ford on the couch.
Oh yeah. So
It's
what are you
like,
doing? Follow
I'm
me.
not following you. I'm looking for you. There's a
there's
difference.
a difference. Yeah. Which, I mean, sure, okay, yeah, and from a certain point of view,
And
sure.
it's like it's a surveillance convention, and you're a
Right.
surveiller. It's like it wasn't that hard.
Yeah. You get a little bit of that Harrison Ford snark in there.
Yes.
You know?
But that is like the language of this movie about being intrusive and naming it something else,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Because that's what this whole movie is about. Everyone's doing something intrusive and calling it something else.
It's all duplicitous.
Yeah.
Yes. And then getting defensive when it happens to them. right?
Yep.
Like you can dish it, but you can't take it, right?
That certainly too, and like because it's coming up in the scene with the microphone pen, like you don't want to be bested
Big time.
by the guy who calls himself the best of the East.
Yep.
Right.
Right. Even if he called you in the same breath the best of the West, he's saying this town ain't big enough for the both of us, is what he's essentially trying to do.
And implying I was the best when you left. Like I was the best in the East and you left.
Or
to
he
become
the best of the East,
West.
best of the best of the West.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
He did.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's the scene we're going to talk about next. I do want to put a button on the Amy thing though, because I do believe that he wanted to invite Amy. He wanted Amy to come out with it because they all get in the car, they all pack into the car together, and they go back to Harry's joint, which is so uncharacteristic of Harry, right? That
he lets his guard down a lot
into the inner sanctum, right? So I think that feels like he's trying here, and I think that he would have preferred if Amy had been there with him, right?
Well, yeah, because there were, there were women there, and it seems as though the woman that he ends up kind of fancying was being fancied by his buddy, one of his team members.
Yes.
But I think part of the reason why
he was totally being set up, and
I think the whole reason why he kind of lets his guard down a little bit here is that these are his ilk, basically. That these are the people he's either worked with or people that he's known. He can, and I think he thinks.
It's Stan and Bernie are there. So these are people he worked with, So it is a little bit like of a camaraderie thing, too.
And I do think that there is a part of him, because there's the two other guys who really want to know how he did some things.
Right.
And I think he is being a little boastful here, which is something that will eventually be something he will have to repent for later.
A little bit of the sin of pride coming through here.
Yeah, and it does bite him in the ass by the next morning. But
it's also like the thing that he's most guilty feels the most guilty about, right?
It certainly paints a picture of why he acts the way he does.
All right, so how do we set the scene up? Because I think this is kind of the centerpiece of the movie, and it tells a lot. It tells a lot. Like, they all go back to Harry's for after party, after the convention. They're all drinking booze.
As you do.
Harry is very, very careful to go. I didn't even notice this, but he very carefully goes into his workstation. He gathers up all of his papers, his scrolls of papers and things, like imagine blueprints of electronics and things, and takes them into his inner sanctum, which is his like locked cage, right? Puts them in there. So it's like, okay, so Harry is letting himself go, but to a point. He knows that there are people here who will definitely steal his shit, right?
Oh, yeah. And then when he's going to lock the door, he's like, here's one of the microphones I used. Yeah. And then he pulls it back. They all laugh about it.
Right.
But it's a little bit contentious.
Yeah. Totally.
It paints, it does definitely paint the picture that there's
a rivalry here.
There's a rivalry. There's a little bit of dishonor.
Why he's so angry when Stan goes to work at the booth for, I'm just going to call him the best bugger of the East.
The BBE.
Yeah. Because he's like, dude, you know some of my shit. And he's like, well, I don't know that much because you don't tell me anything. Yeah.
It's like, well, that'll change. Yeah. Yeah, right. No. Right.
Yeah, probably not.
And then he taps the tapping thing or whatever, and he's like, this is crap.
Yeah.
Whatever the BBE had. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because
the harmonica phone or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, that real quick, because that is important. Let me real quick describe how that thing worked. Basically, the way it was sold was you call a number, you dial the first 6 digits of the number, you pause, you blow the harmonica note into the receiver, you hit the final number, and then you hang the phone up. As he said, it won't ring on the other end. But what will happen is it will turn its receiver into a listening device, which you will now be able to hear on your end.
Right.
Which is like, I don't know how that would work. Like, probably not at all, but whatever. It sounds cool.
Yeah, it's horseshit.
Or is it?
I don't know. But maybe
we'll
it's
see.
not.
We'll see. But anyway, but like they, and so like that's the whole thing. And the guy called his house and he hears his wife talking to another man about having an affair. And it's like, oh, April Fools. It's all fun. It's not April though, because everybody's talking about Christmas. Yeah. So it's like, it's all the show for this guy, and it's just snake oil. Yeah.
The
I mean, there could be a little bit, but
the important thing too about the demonstration is that it won't ring on the other end.
Yes, that's what he says.
That is a very important distinction,
right?
To the end of this movie. But yeah,
absolutely. That's why I say, is it entirely bullshit? I don't know.
Right, exactly.
But also, this guy also has a booth babe.
Yeah.
As you do at a convention. This is Meredith.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I watched the movie on Elizabeth McRae's 1-year anniversary of her death, which was a little, yeah, when I saw that, I was like, wait, what's today's? Oh my God. But yeah. She is, Bernie likes her. Yeah, Bernie likes her.
Yeah, of course.
Because he's hanging on her a lot. But she likes Harry. And she and Harry kind of go off and have a little conversation back at the empty warehouse where he operates out of.
Yeah.
And he kind of opens up a little bit here.
He does. It's the first time you really hear him open up. He talks, it's a little bit cryptically, but he talks about his relationship with Amy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And his like, do you think you could love a man like that? Who and he describes the way he's treated Amy and the way that he's reserved and the way that he can't, give her what she wants, but yet maybe still cares for her, right? It's like this weird vulnerability, but also still so cagey, right? But as we find out, the best bugger of the East has slipped a pen into Harry's jacket and has been recording that whole conversation. He plays it back to his embarrassment to everyone in the room. And like Stan is like, "Oh, he got you, Harry." It's like,
and he's like, "Why don't you all get the fuck out of here?"
Yeah. He doesn't take it well. He doesn't take it well.
But it's also kind of like everybody get out of here except for Meredith. You can stay.
This is kind of Harry's like worst nightmare, right? Like this is him. Like he does everything he can to put his guard up and to keep people out. He brought people in, and they took advantage.
Yep.
But of course they did, because they're his people. Right? Yeah. And he thinks he is somehow better than them in some ways, and morally or professionally, and yet he's shocked and appalled and embarrassed when they bug him as a joke, right? Yeah, they don't give a shit. They don't even care about like what he's saying.
No,
but for him, those were emotional things that he was letting out to him, even though they were very benign, really, at the end of the day.
Well, absolutely cryptic or absolutely not being paid attention to, either which way. Yeah, you're right. It's like,
but it's the only moment in this movie, other than when we, the audience, are allowed inside his dreams, that we get a vulnerable Harry.
Yeah. And this was also, during the scene also, this is when they explain the whole, what did he do that was so big on the East Coast that essentially caused them to leave?
Yes.
So basically, it was something like an insurance company or something.
It was the Teamsters.
It was the Teamsters that they hired.
It was like some Jimmy Hoffa shit, man.
Yeah. They hired him to, which at the time that this was filmed, Hoffa was still alive.
Oh man, that's crazy too.
Yeah. But they,
Oh, and I bet you, Coppola got some ideas while he was working on The Godfather from some people.
very could have.
Yeah. Ooh,
very much could have.
That's weird. Yeah. Yep.
By the way, did you guys like the Jack Nicholson Hoffa movie?
I did. I liked it.
You want me to give up Jimmy Hoffa?
I will admit I haven't seen it in 25 years, but yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, he got hired by the Teamsters to basically listen into some shenanigans, and what ultimately ended up was the three people that he listened in on was a family, and they were all found dead, shaved their bodies,
Decapitated too, right?
and decapitated them.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's like when he's telling the story, when the story's being told, he doesn't seem to react too much to it. But later, you get the impression that it's like, oh yeah, he's really bothered by this.
Yeah, you've got the best bugger on the East who's prodding and trying to prod out of him how he did the bug. And there's a federal agent there too, who's like he wants to know too.
Well, yeah.
He's like, I don't know. He's the one who adds a little color to it, but at the same time, he doesn't have the full picture, right?
Right.
And Harry's
those guys are just as potentially scummy as the private eyes.
But Harry's just like, I just did my job. I turned in the audio. I can't be responsible for what happens next. But this is the root of everything for Harry.
Because Harry's not afraid of dying. He's afraid of murder.
But he's afraid of murder. Yeah.
And
conceivably, that's a great line.
I mean, conceivably, that could be something that you could be.
Death, but I'm afraid of murder.
That could be something you could be brought up on. I mean, like you could be brought. I mean, you could at least be leaned upon.
I mean, as a devout Catholic, that tracks perfectly.
As a person, death is like in your mind a natural occurrence, right? Like you're going to die when you're supposed to die. In some respects, murder, no. Right?
For someone whose soul is in the state of grace, death should not. You should not fear it. But yes, murder is one of the 10 Commandments. Dude, thou shalt not kill. Right? I mean, it's absolutely it's an abomination. It's an abomination against God. Right?
Yep.
Just as much as taking the Lord's name in vain is. That's another of the 10 Commandments. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it all tracks with Harry for sure.
And
Harry.
And is it a Catholic thing or is it a evangelical Protestant thing that you're supposed to actually be happy to die, to be invited into the company?
We get exalted, right? Like, I think that's all religion in a lot of respects.
I mean, you're not supposed to be happy to die in the sense that you should put yourself in danger.
Well, no, but I mean, like if it's a natural thing,
death should be a happy event. Yes, it should be. You're going to go in the arms of heaven.
I mean, everyone who said he's in a better place now, like they definitely, like they're already saying that, right?
Right. Like, the way the Catholic Church, I don't know about the evangelicals or whatever, but
they're a death cult,
they would teach you have a duty to protect your life, like life is sacred on earth. You have a duty to protect your life and to survive and to procreate and to raise a family and all of that. But when you die, if your soul is in a state of grace, it should be a joyous occasion.
A joyous occasion because you're now one with the Lord,
you're now
or
going
whatever.
into heaven and you're going to be in the presence of God.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
But no, murder takes that away from you because it can happen at any minute. And
and
it takes that choice
it's
away
unnatural.
from you.
Like man shouldn't decide when another man should die.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, basically, he's being put to bed by Meredith. who, I mean, it's almost, in some ways, she's like mothering him.
Yes.
In other ways, it's sensual. And in other ways, it's very clinical because she's just undressing over there, but all the while the tape is playing.
Yes.
And he gets to the point where they say he'd kill us if he got the chance. He says it himself.
Yeah.
And then he has his dream where he's following Cindy Williams.
Yes.
Also to note that this is the reverse relationship almost of him and Amy.
Yeah.
And it's transactional the other way.
Yep.
And he doesn't realize it's transactional, just like you get the sense Amy doesn't feel their relationship is transactional.
Boom.
And it's like right in the same spot of on either side of the middle of the movie.
Absolutely. They're on the same sides of the bed. Like yes. Oh, it's so good.
It's interesting because the movie almost plays like a tape that then gets to a stopping point and then rewinds itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love those mirror-y kind of movies, and this definitely does it.
Yep. So he wakes up and the tape is gone. Meredith is gone.
Well, let's talk about the dream.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, the dream is interesting because once again, like, all right, there's a couple things about this that I found interesting. First of all, you get to surveil Harry's dreams, right?
Yeah.
The audience does. Like, how other way are we allowed access to Harry if he's not going to give it to us as Harry? How else can the audience access Harry? And that's through his dreams, right? So Coppola allows us that access, but he doesn't give us full access. He gives us cryptic dream access because he tells a story. It's Harry, and he confronts Cindy Williams. Is she riding a horse? For some reason,
No, she's just walking.
is walking. Okay, I don't know why.
I think it's meant to
No
be
horse friends in this dream.
No horse friends here. No. Chuck and I recently saw some horse friends, but But no, it's meant to look like she's walking around Union Square again, but it's foggy. It's like
It's very
dense
foggy,
with
very
fog.
dense. It's very it's very serene,
Dreamy?
Yeah. And he confronts
That's
her.
a good term for it, Chuck.
Yeah,
Thanks.
dreamy.
That's perfect.
I nailed it.
He tells her, he's like, I think you're in danger. Essentially, he confronts her, but then he tells her a story about him when he was a child, and he was paralyzed in his left arm
And left leg.
and left leg. Yes, the whole left side of his body.
Which couldn't walk for 6 months.
Would kind of like fuck you up. You're dependent on another person, and that person for him was his mother. And she would lift him into the bath and lay him down in the bath, and then she would leave and she would come back. But this one particular time when she left, he felt himself slipping down into the bath, and to the point where the water would reach up to his mouth, and he was afraid that he would drown, but he didn't call out. He didn't react. He didn't ask for help. He didn't scream for help. And then she came and, of course, and helped him out of the bath. But it's such a weird psychosis.
I don't even know if I'd call it psychosis, because I feel like
it's not psychosis. It's like a trauma.
But it's also like tempting fate.
Yeah.
And testing the limits of your faith. Like, I wouldn't die here. This is not the death I'm meant to have.
Yeah.
So,
but I think it's like internalizing his isolation.
Maybe that too.
It could be doing that.
Or not internalizing, but it's solidifying it.
I think it also.
I don't have control of half of my body, and yes, you're right. It is a tempting of fate, and it is, I think, a moment in time where he becomes his only anything.
And I also kind of look at it as being like, he actually this might also explain some of his relationship with death. He's not afraid of death, but he's afraid of murder, and like because he's touched death in a sort of a way.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Where he's like, well, if we have a natural end, there's nothing to be afraid of. He's got that firmly squared away in his emotions. But
yeah, if he
on
dies
the opposite
there, that's
side,
when he's supposed to die.
Exactly. Right, but on the other hand, if it was his mother pushing him down, then he's I mean, no pun intended, he's deathly afraid of murder. Yeah. I mean, like it's a different relationship. I kind of look at that as being maybe a different relationship with death. And the reason why he is so scared of people being murdered.
So he still finds comfort in his mother and craves it, but he's almost like equally repulsed by it because of that experience. Maybe. I don't know. Like
I don't know.
He seems to have some mother issues.
Which would probably explain why he treats women the way he does.
Right. Transactionally.
Right.
But also,
I take care of them, they take care of me.
Right,
sort of
right. And he wants like their comfort.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to give them any more of himself than he has to.
He wants to remain independent while having
Right. So everything is about that bathtub. Yeah. It's like she lifted me into the bathtub, she took me out, but I almost died, but I didn't. And I like
I mean that's like birth and death too, right? Like
yeah.
She brought me into this world and she took me not she took me out. That's
took me to the edge.
This world, I'll take it out.
Well, she carried him to the brink.
I just Bill Cosby. Yeah. Yes. Did I tell you guys, when I was a kid, I used to have the opposite kind of dream where I was in a shopping cart, helpless, and my parents would like turn around to like get something off the shelf. And this was a recurring dream. I had it all the time. And then someone would take the cart, who I didn't know, like a faceless, nameless person, and start pushing me into the door. You know those old swingy double doors in grocery stores? And I would scream, but nothing would come out.
Oh.
So
I
tear
thought
that
you were
dream
gonna
apart,
say,
boys.
So
I thought you were going to say...
Nightmare a little bit, like you're
you're helpless, I mean, it's I kind of thought you were going to say that you just went home with that person and that was just your new family.
No,
I think that's definitely as a child, it's like a fear of being taken from your parents. I think
and I could not scream.
Childhood fear, being helpless.
That was the worst part. Yeah.
My recurring dream was I was being chased by Darth Vader, and I would hide around a corner.
Were you in the ice house?
No, I was just in the city street, like he came here, like some asshole would. And I was like in the city street, like alleyway there, hiding around a corner. And I always wake up when he's like walking right up to the edge and he turns on his lightsaber. And I'm like, I'm dead-zo if I stay asleep. But anyway, he kills children.
Well,
he does.
He does.
We didn't even know that.
Turns out he did. Yeah, I didn't know that at that time. Now he does.
The first humans or people or whatever you want to call them, life beings he killed were children. Yeah. Anyway, so the dream I feel is key in some ways, but to me, the interpretation it maybe isn't like crucial to his understanding of Harry. Harry is complicated, and Harry has an isolation complex. He cannot emote or express to other people.
Yeah, you couldn't tell someone when you're drowning. Like,
exactly.
And that's just a physical description of how he is.
Yes. And it's him at like his base core. How do you think you're going to get him to tell you that he loves you? Right.
Right. And it certainly also, I mean, like if nothing else on the surface of the dream, it tells the audience that, he is starting to become obsessed with this person's safety. because he doesn't want to see her be killed or murdered or whatever.
I think that's a big part of it, right? Is the
if nothing
fear,
else, it's for us.
it's the fear, his morality complex, and his fear of murder, which is entwined.
Yep.
Yeah. He's and it's Gene Hackman. I don't like. That's the thing that I think is so amazing too about this movie is this. This would not be the character I would think that Gene Hackman would embody in any way, shape, or form.
I see a lot of this in his other roles, but it's more likable versions of this guy.
They're not tortured. Like,
they're not tortured, but he's really good at like. Fuck, I'm going to bring up The Replacements now. I love that man in The Replacements. And that's just a stupid movie. But the way he is in it, you're like, I really like this guy. I really want to root for him.
Sure.
And you, like, Harry is on the other side of that. I don't even know if I want to root for him necessarily. But you are kind of in there with him, even though you don't know a lot.
You could see
at the very least
of it in Hoosiers.
Yeah,
he's the guy who's kind of like he's on his last chance, right? He's that kind of guy, and he's trying to just be his authentic self, the authentic self that made him successful, but that also comes with all the baggage of why he's here in Podunk, Indiana. Yeah.
But he always has a way of just being relatable.
Yeah,
it feels like
yes,
yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, you can say you appreciate his doggedness to try to figure out what is about to happen to these people.
Yeah,
because something is about to happen. Yeah, I mean,
you're absolutely right about that because you are at this point on his side. You're like, yes, they are in danger. Right.
And they are messing with this guy, which feels like he's in danger.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's all from one piece of audio.
Yeah.
That we don't have the full context
that we still haven't got the full context of, and now we're about to.
Yeah. So basically, Harrison Ford calls him. It's like, the director couldn't wait until Sunday, so we just took it now. Come by, get your money. Everything's good. So he comes by, and this is when we meet the director, and that it's Robert Duvall.
Yep.
And he's listening to it, and this is when we hear Martin, Harrison Ford's like, I just wanted you to be aware of what we're dealing with here. Like he's protecting him, a very Smithers thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
And Gene Hackman's like, what are you going to do to them? What are you going to do? What are you going to do to them?
Don't count your money in the room. Take it outside. It's like, oh man.
Yeah. And
you never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
No,
he should have known that.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny Rogers tells you that.
Yeah. He brings them the photos. He's like, "Here's the photos you asked for," and he's like, "What are you gonna do to them?"
Yeah, and he's like, he's like, hey, you did all right. $13,000 for one day of work. That's pretty good, or whatever it is.
Yeah, because Duvall doesn't answer that question. Yeah.
Yeah. And what we do know is they are.
Well, Harrison Ford does answer it. Stett. What a great last name.
Martin Stett.
He says, we'll see.
I think I just figured out the thing that Stett is in this movie that annoyed me, but if I'm right, then I'm good.
All right.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that
soon.
Because it's coming up. So what we one of the other things that we do find out in the recording is that the guy Mark is like, we need to go and meet. Let's meet on maybe Sunday at this hotel, this room. And Cindy Williams is like, definitely Sunday.
Yes.
So he knows, so Harry knows where they're going to be today.
Yep.
Basically.
What room, what time, everything.
Right. So he goes to the hotel, asks the guy for room 737 or whatever it is. And the guy's like, it's occupied, but all of our rooms are the same. Yeah. And it's like, don't you know that you are dealing with a very troubled person who is very particular about things? It's like, he wants the room right next to it if you can't have that room. Right. So they're like, yeah, well, we can give you the room right next door.
Yes.
And so he goes in and he's like trying to figure out like, okay, what are the easy listening spots in the room? And he figures out a place in the bathroom that he could drill through the wall. I'm guessing somebody was listening to that other room another time because it's just caulked over.
I think it was old
Don't
plumbing.
get cocky, Chuck.
Don't get cocky. It looked like old plumbing. And it could have been like a room that had been like that had a new wall or whatever. I mean,
Sure. Yeah. But either which way, he's like, all right, well, I'm going to disguise it with the toilet. Yeah. And God, that does sound like a hotel toilet, doesn't it? That powerful fucking flush that like sucks you in with it.
Don't trust a toilet. Don't trust a hotel with a non-powerful flush.
Yeah, if you can't feel it sucking your butt down with you or with it, then you got to get out of that hotel.
Gotta have good plumbing. Yeah.
Especially every time I go into a hotel, the first thing I need to do is take a shit. So I'm always testing that.
It's at least a number one at minimum. Yeah.
At minimum, but I'm guessing it's going to be a number two most of the time.
For you, I guess.
For me, yeah. You know. I'll tell you who number two
Chuck's
works
just
for.
Shaking his head at us. He's like, guys, we could be classy, but we choose not to be.
We choose not to be.
I was trying to think of a succubus, suck your butt joke, so I'm not that
suck your butt
classy.
Chuck's there with us.
There we go.
There it is.
So,
yeah, make sure your hotel toilet has a suck your butt in it.
Yep.
Oh,
so anyway, like he drills through the wall with like a little hand drill, and he pipes it through, and there's an argument that's happening, and some commotion. And he freaks out. It's like, oh my God, this has happened all over again. He basically,
the murder is happening.
Yep. And so he basically just turns on
He also hears the original recording.
Oh yes,
it's being played for them because you've got to imagine that the director Duvall's come in there playing the recording to like, I know what you're up to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he basically turns on the TV and then he covers his head up. And he falls asleep. He shuts down.
He goes out the balcony. He goes out on the balcony.
Oh, that's right. He does go out to the balcony first.
And he sees like a bloody splat against the adjacent patio door, right?
Yeah.
And then yes, he does wake up, and he's a coward. Honestly,
yeah.
He wasn't able to go through with whatever heroics in his mind he thought he could go
right, because his job is non-confrontational and kind of weak by nature, right?
But it's like why are you there in the first place? You think in your mind that I can maybe stop this?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
And he thinks by like recording it, maybe that he's got some sort of way to stop this. But that's where his powers end.
There's an element to me that was wondering too, am I recording this because if I run in, maybe they're trying to pin this murder on me? Like I need a recording proving that it wasn't my fault, but I don't know if I give Harry that much credit.
I don't think that's it at all.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of I think it's partly he thinks he's going to be the big hero, but he can't do it. I mean, and maybe a little bit of a mix of he is seeing this through to its logical conclusion. Much like that with that tape, he's seeing it through to the logical conclusion.
And maybe in his mind, like Chuck, to sort of your point, is that if he can record the murder, he can give justice.
Yeah, maybe justice there too.
There's justice there. Like he can maybe give justice to their murders, but if he were really all that concerned, he would have
Call the cops.
Call
man.
the cops. Exactly right.
Exactly.
But they come and ask you if you were picking your feet in Poughkeepsie.
That's
So.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're getting beat up by yourself. You know.
Oh, that would be hilarious if Papa
Yeah, if
Doyle-
Popeye Doyle shows up. Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be really funny. If there's anything AI could do, that would be one of them. That would be
Yeah, that would be one of the things.
That would be one of
That would be one of the things
that I would like to see AI do.
Okay, there it is.
the
There's the
qualifier I
finished the
needed.
sentence. Yeah.
that part was we had to tune that in a little bit there to get that part. Yeah. So then, so he goes over to the room when he wakes up while the Flintstones are on TV, which was the episode that Wilma was giving birth to Pebbles.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, I just kind of pieced that together from what else? The audio. Anyway, but the he goes over there, and the place is immaculate.
Yeah.
Like nothing happened, and he's like,
his room is trashed.
his room is fucked.
He's had like the worst night ever.
Yeah.
It's like vomit everywhere probably, but
Yeah, but he goes in and everything seems fine, and he thinks I'm going to pull the shower curtain, and there's going to be a body in there or something. But I love how all we have is the visual and the sound of him looking around. There's no music getting in the way. There's no, there's nothing else. It's just the video or the visual and the audio of what he's doing until he gets an idea about the toilet, and he flushes the toilet, and just like fucking The Shining happens.
It's clogged.
It's clogged with blood.
I don't even believe that was real.
Oh,
That's possible. Yeah,
It's
I guess
not.
that's possible.
It's not. It's a representation of his paranoia. I'm almost positive. Because the blood splatter that he saw in the window is an indication of that, because that's not there.
Everything we see about the murder also is all in his mind.
Right, because the
Because
death
all we
is in a
really
car.
know was about the accident.
Yeah.
Right? Everything is in his mind. We have no fucking idea what really happened in that room.
Cut brakes, probably. Well, yeah, I think I think I'm starting to piece this together as we're talking, but I don't know.
You're tuning it in there?
I just needed the three voices.
There it is. Yeah. I was too busy taking pictures of girls fixing their lipstick.
Oh my God, that guy.
Anyway, so he leaves, and eventually he is just walking around, and he goes to see the director. No dice.
Yeah, because the director's dead.
Well, there's just no dice. It's like, you don't get it. He doesn't piece together that the director's dead until
yeah, I got you. Sorry.
Because the big reveal is Cindy Williams is in the limo, and he's like looking, and then it starts to click. There's a really, really key important thing to that really, really key and important sentence, and he missed the emphasis on
He had the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because what the guy actually says is he'd kill us if he had the chance. If
Does
got
he
the
say that?
chance.
Because I wanted to
Yes.
go back and listen.
Yes,
He does.
when you hear it
emphasize
that time, he lilts us. He'd kill us if we had.
I wanted to go
if he got
back
the
and
chance.
see if it was played that way in the beginning, or if Coppola is kind of.
100% it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So he doesn't understand that the guy is talking Cindy Williams into being okay with murdering her husband.
Yeah.
So that they can continue on because she can't get a divorce from him or whatever. Or basically she would get all of his stuff, basically. Yeah.
All this stuff.
All of his stuff. It'd be all hers. All her stuff. Now.
Everything. All the things. Yeah.
All the things. And meanwhile, he's still trying to kind of do a little bit of his own investigation around this. And Harrison Ford's like, you best stop doing this. Eventually, because he sees him at the reporters as they are talking to her about what happened. There was this car accident, all of this. And
well, first, what happens is Gene Hackman is at home. in his apartment playing his saxophone. Because we haven't
saxophone.
talked about this earlier, but he plays his saxophone.
Do you guys know what type of saxophone that is?
A baritone saxophone, alto saxophone,
It's a tenor.
jazz saxophone.
It's a tenor.
Tenor
Saxophone.
tenor, the second most popular saxophone.
Well, whatever. It's saxophone, and he plays it to jazz records that he plays in his apartment. It feels like it's a way for him to express himself. It's all
Exactly.
shit that he is unable to express to other human beings that he expresses through his music.
Oh, and it should be noted also, because the phone's about to ring, that he keeps telling people that he does not have a home.
Telephone, right?
That was exposed a little earlier. I thought you didn't have a phone. Well, maybe it is this scene when
I
he
think he
takes the
got
blue.
one.
I think he ended up getting one because Amy's the one that's like, how can I call you? Why do I have to wait for you to call me?
So this is a way he thinks maybe he can, like, just be more human.
Put himself on the grid a little bit.
So he gets
I mean,
a phone.
he's never going to be as human or as real human as Ryan Gosling.
But the first phone call he gets, that we know of anyway, he picks it up.
On the first ring,
there's no one on the other end.
there's like a clicking sound or something. There's some sort of a background
There's
sound.
something happening there. It sounds odd. He hangs up. He goes back. He starts playing his saxophone again. Phone rings. Picks up the phone. And he hears him playing the saxophone.
Just what he played.
He was playing, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we hear Stet tell him that they know that he knows, and if he knows what's good for him, he'll keep it to himself.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's paraphrase, but
well, he says stop investigating. Don't investigate this any further, basically. Yeah.
And now what we have is, okay, that's all well and good for Harry, but now he knows his apartment is bugged.
Oh, and oh my God, it's like itching at him like the most like whatever phobic thing that would, like the fear.
Well, we know how he reacted to the pen.
Yes.
And he broke the pen, and the pen is over, right? Like there's no threat from the pen anymore. But this is something he must find.
Yes.
Like he has to find it.
And on so many levels, right? Professionally, from a hubris standpoint, from a paranoia standpoint.
Yeah, it destroys what he had just built for himself, which was a little bit of a sense that he can be human.
It is the crack in his psyche that has just been exploited. Like it is everything. It's the only thing. Like it's the littlest little pinprick of this is what is going to break him, and it breaks him.
All he has to do is move, for crying out loud.
I thought that too. It was like, just move. But
but this goes beyond rationality. Like he is. Like,
I mean, it breaks his relationship with God.
Yes.
Because that Madonna is the last thing he will touch.
And it's interesting that it's Madonna. Like there are other holy statues that he checked and broke, but it's the Madonna that he left, which is a symbolization of his mother as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like the last person that he had an emotional connection to. He imbues into the Virgin Mary, and then
it couldn't have been my mother that has betrayed
it
me.
can't. It's like it's the last possible thing, right?
That would betray me.
I will destroy this whole fucking apartment before I think it could be that, and yeah, and he does. He destroys it, and it's not that either. He doesn't find it,
and he just goes back to playing his saxophone.
Yeah,
I don't think it's the phone thing.
I think it almost has to be because of the setup to it.
I think it's. I don't think it's anything. I don't think he's bugged at all. Maybe I don't know. I guess there has to be something because I do play back that saxophone. But he takes that phone apart. I don't know.
Well, if it's the snake oil, taking the phone apart's not going to fix it.
That's true.
It's not going to find it.
Well, it might have fixed it, but it's not going to find it.
It wouldn't find it. Right.
Right. I don't think it matters, though. I don't think it matters. Like
what matters most is that crack got exploded.
Yes, it just shattered. It shattered him, and then what does he do? He goes back to the nipple,
shirtless, saxophone playing.
Yeah, back to the nipple, back to suckling his mother's tit, which is playing the saxophone.
Were you guys surprised that Madonna was not ceramic?
I was, yes.
I was like, what's this blow mold shit?
It should have been ceramic. Like, Jesus, that would have been way more dramatic if it were ceramic. Yeah,
I remember those old rubber things,
those,
but that does like the fact that it doesn't break on first impulse
really
shows it drives home his dedication to the destruction of that.
Yep. Because it gets violent when it doesn't smash.
Yeah, he's pissed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to bring up, and I'm gonna.
Yeah, let's talk about Harrison Ford.
I had asked you for an explanation, but I'm gonna go through what I think first because I pieced it together while we're talking.
Okay.
So Stet is on the side of the director, as far as we know.
Sure.
Throughout this entire movie, and at the very end, he calls and he says, "Hey, stop investigating this." So in reality, it doesn't make sense that he would do that. Like, if he was on the director's side, he would be okay with exposing the girl and the guy.
Right.
So what I think now is that he found out about the relationship, decided to get a recording of it to use against them to make them be willing to kill the director for personal gain.
I'm with you on that.
I think you're almost there.
I'm with him on that because the director does not seem to be.
He doesn't seem like he knows what the fuck is going on.
Yeah,
he's not even there for the first.
He is completely and totally shocked by the recording.
I think I agree that the director did not commission the recording. But where Stet is concerned, I think Stet was in on it from the start.
Yeah, it could have been. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I think he set it up. I think he set it up.
He was in on it from the start, and with them.
For the movie.
I think the three of them were in on it together, and that what they were doing in the conversation was play acting.
So what they're doing is trying to set the director up, but he's going to end up dead anyways. That doesn't prove the recording doesn't prove anything.
They're playing it. They're playing that whole their parts. And they're giving the time and the date and everything. And then Stet plays hey, I suspected them. And so I'm going to get the recording of them and bring it to you. Look what they're doing. They're nasty. They're cheating on you. And then and then it all leads up to the director confronting them at the hotel room when all three of them were ready for it. To kill him. That was the whole.
Yeah, because the other thing is they've got a dead body now to move around. I feel like Cindy Williams was not helping move that body around. I think there's two guys doing the body.
While the director was, because I don't even think the body died in the hotel. Maybe while the director was confronting those two, Harrison Ford cut the brakes of the car. Or something.
Sure. Who knows? Anything.
Because I don't think they physically killed him because he dies apparently in a car wreck.
All three of them are in on it together. And they were from the start.
Okay, I can get with that. I believe, yes. By the end of it, they are. I 100% agree with that.
Well, by the end of it, of course they are. But I think they were from the start, my opinion. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, Martin is in on all of this with them. He's the one who commissioned the tape. He's the one who set the wheels in motion.
That's why he's so adamant about him not giving it to him personally. Because he doesn't, the director does not know anything about it. Yeah.
The only thing I will argue against that is that if Stet and the two of them were together from the start, they wouldn't need a third party to record a conversation. They could have just recorded it.
Sure, but
but it looks really good. It looks have a third party doing it and have Stet being the one who's like the Smithers.
But originally the director wasn't even going to get the recording. Like I'm with you. I think
No, the whole point was to bring it to the director. That's the whole point. Like Stett wanted to deliver it to him.
They could have brought anything to him that they recorded, is what I'm saying. The third party is not even there.
I think
maybe.
I think they were fine with the authenticity, like spending a little bit of money for authenticity, and leave no doubt that
it's fair. It's like, who recorded this, and then you have to like come up with some bullshit.
Oh, it would add on additional lies, and that
provenance, Chuck.
Yeah,
it's like what every antique is graded by is provenance.
I think it's a little bit murkier than it needs to be, but I can get behind that.
That's fair.
Now something else I'm wondering is Harrison Ford, in Harrison Ford's mind, he's talking about playing this role as a gay man. Is he and Mark actually together?
I mean, maybe. I mean, that's why I think with the relationships, I think anything is on the table here.
All three of them, any two of them combined.
I don't necessarily believe that Cindy Williams and
Mark
are having an affair. I don't necessarily believe that's true. Like, I think it's all murky.
It's all set up.
It's all set up, but also that's the point of it. Is like we don't get to know, right? Because we only know what we think the director knows, right? And we only know what was recorded. What we think that Harry knows. Right?
We only know what was recorded, and we know what was recorded. And we know what was recorded was at least in some ways set up.
Yeah,
it was a set up recording.
And we know, yes, exactly. We know that Martin set it up. We know that the director is dead. We know the motivations for why you'd want the director to be dead, right? We have all these pieces, but we don't have the whole picture, and that's kind of the beauty of this fucking movie. We only have the pieces that the surveillance can put together.
The movie equates to the recording, to the comedy.
I mean, hence the title. But you know what else this movie does? It turns us into Harry Colm.
Yes.
We become obsessed with wanting to know, like trying to piece everything. I mean, we just spent, an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes piecing stuff together.
Harry himself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and so it's like these are movies that are all, I mean, this is a movie that, like a lot of movies, will be very... will miss a lot of key elements to help explain things, and just kind of like, oh, it'll be fine. We'll just, they'll figure it out on their own. But you really need that information. This movie is one of the few rare examples of you don't have everything, and it's still great in what it does.
And it's also like kind of the point.
It's the point.
Yeah. I mean, it's you have to not have everything to make this. And I will give this like a tick up for sure. If you knew everything, this movie wouldn't be half as good.
Right. It would be over-explained or overwrought or too long.
And it's a lot of movies these days where you have to learn everything. And it's funny
because audiences are fucking idiots.
I don't even think it's
that is. I mean, for a lot of like the mainstream
that though, because I'm
talking like the mainstream stuff.
Sure, but I would consider my wife mainstream. She wonders about shit that doesn't even need to be explained, and she's not an idiot.
Well, no,
you know what I mean?
I'm talking about a very specific type of movie. I'm talking about Minecraft, some Marvel movies, Mission Impossible. Oh my god,
but those movies aren't setting up to be mystery at all.
No, but they are. But there's plot, and the Mission Impossible movie has a shit ton of plot, and it keeps repeating it over and over. And oh my god, the more I think about it, the more I dislike that.
I just think it has to do with how much you want your thriller, your intrigue, your noir to be rooted in existentialism. Than you do the actual like things that are unfolding, right? Because a lot of the best thrillers, a lot of the best noir films are more about the nature of humankind and how we react and how we deal with situations than they are the actual mystery.
That's some of why I like the Carol Baker Lindsay giallo because it's more about her unraveling.
Yeah.
Most of the time than it is what's actually happening in the movie.
So a lot of
Like,
times,
and the story's stupid and someone flies off a cliff at the
a
end.
lot of
It's
times,
like, okay,
the story,
that's
the
fine.
plot is secondary to the character, right, or the characters.
Well, why do people love The Shining? Because we don't know hardly anything about what's real, what isn't.
Yeah.
What, I mean, like,
That's a rare movie that delivers on like all fucking fronts, though. Even the narrative is paid off.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
Yeah. I mean, but no. I mean,
I agree with your example. I'm just saying.
No, I know. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a thing that's reserving stuff that's not even explained in the sequel. I mean, it's like that movie reserves some stuff too. So it's like,
right.
But one of the best movies I've seen, one of the best movies I think of the last 5-10 years, however long it's since it's been out, is, to me at least, Ghost Story.
Oh God, yes.
Because the way that movie ends, I can sit there and ponder on it for hours, and you're never going to get the answer to what the ending is, but that fulfills so much of the itch that I get when I want to watch a movie that really truly means something.
Yeah, yeah. God, that movie is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well,
and talk about another movie that's very observational, like The Conversation.
Yeah,
that one absolutely is.
Absolutely. It's all surveillance. Yeah,
yeah.
You mean the Casey Affleck Rooney Mara?
Yes.
I've never seen that.
Watch that movie, Chuck.
It's unbelievable. We'll have to put it on the. We'll have to put it on the schedule.
That would be a good October movie.
It would be. It's unbelievable. It really is.
Yeah.
Unbelievable Harry Potter.
Unbelievable Harry Potter. But yeah, a Conversation for me, it's a 5-star movie.
Yes, 100%.
I was completely floored by this thing, in a lot of different ways.
This is a quintessential 70s watch for anybody who wants to see a truly great decade in film. All of the different types of movies. This is just one shining example. And this is the same
Chuck,
fucking year as Chinatown.
You need to walk through Union Square this week. When you're there.
I will. I've already mapped it.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to be listening in, Chuck.
Yes, I know you will. I'm gonna watch this again and try to take out my annoyance at that sound. Because it really did kind of off-put me. I don't know why. Because the conversation we just had about the conversation was really good. And there is a lot to dig in on this movie for sure. And I think a rewatch is going to be beneficial, knowing where Harry ends up and all that.
I mean, if you think about this,
watch it. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because I just brought up Chinatown. It's like, this is a year in which you have 2 films nominated for Best Original Screenplay that are perfect. They're perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, these are studyable things that should 50 years on still be in film schools and still be picked apart, and for various different reasons. But 74 is a pretty dang good year, I think, is what we're getting at.
I can understand why Coppola gave the movie to Walter Murch to edit, because I think a lot of it was just shot. And it's just like, you're going to put this together with that. It's like, it's not going to be the biggest challenge to edit this movie, but I want you there to supervise the edit, because every single moment of sound has to be placed absolutely correctly, right?
Yeah.
And it's
you can't reveal.
Right. And there are things you can't reveal too soon, and you have to cut just right. I honestly wonder about scenes like the one I mentioned with the waiting room, how long they waited to cut, right? Because you could tell that was a slow push that probably went a lot longer than they cut from.
And maybe focused on something that was narratively.
Yes, it's like so. How do we make an impact with the next scene where we first see Harrison Ford, right? Give you the illusion of this slow push, but then cut. Now we're in this weird, totally different, even perspective angle. We're at a right.
Yeah, he flips.
We're at a right angle now instead of.
You talked about how this is like Coppola's Kubrick film, and that scene, that's it. That's the scene that says, yeah, this is his shot at a Kubrick film.
My point was like watch it again and just watch the shots. Like watch the camera, watch the compositions of every scene. It's masterful. Like it really is. There's so much restraint. There's so much just particularness. Like it just, you could tell he obsessed over every single shot.
It's funny because like we talked about Kubrick's Barry Lyndon.
Yeah.
That is very obviously trying to make you pay attention to those things.
Yeah.
This movie is not.
No.
It really is not trying to make you pay attention to them. So I would like, there was a few, like I'm a cool shot guy. Like I'll say it to Stephanie all the time. That's a cool shot. She didn't watch this with me, so I didn't have like that normal pay attentionness. But yeah, it didn't really seem expressive in that way. But now I'm intrigued to watch it in that way.
It's not a flare. It's just perfect composition. Every shot is perfect composition, and it's claustrophobic. Because
I did feel claustrophobic.
So much of this movie takes place indoors, and so much of it is on Hackman, right? And his space, his presence in a room. It's tremendous. Like I will go back to this movie often.
Outside, well, is there any shot of a scene that Hackman is not present in?
Oh, there has to be. Well, a lot of the opening scene.
But he's present.
No, he's there.
He's there
in the scene. But
that's what I'm saying. It's like
shot. So
he's
in most of the shot too. He's like standing off to the side.
I don't think there's anything where he's not in the scene then. No.
Yeah, I think he's in every scene. Yeah. I mean, it might be a reverse shot, but he's
the scene itself.
Right. Yeah. He's in the scene. Yeah.
Not necessarily the shot, but the scene. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think there is a scene there he's not in. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
So yeah, you're with it. You're with him all the way through.
You are his voyeur. You're like looking at,
and that's looking funny over his shoulder. Then, like the first shot is you're so far above him that you're not even close to him yet, and you get incrementally
closer to him.
Yeah.
And
at times you're right up on him,
and you only ever get as close as he gets. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Which is so fucking smart.
Yep. Yeah. It's almost like a filmmaker made art.
It's almost like Francis Ford Coppola knew what he was doing.
Coppola.
Yeah.
Count Francis.
Count Francis.
I also want to throw out that I very, very much like David Shire's piano score.
Yes, it's so good.
Which is used again almost verbatim. Like it is so fucking close in Severance.
Yes.
Like I am not, well, I mean, I recognize music, but like as soon as those first three notes played when he's with Terry Garr, I was like, that's fucking Severance.
It was driving me crazy because I was like, where have I heard this recently? And then I eventually figured it out, and I went and I found it on YouTube. And I was like, yep, that's what I was thinking of. Yep.
Yeah, I googled the conversation in Severance, and people were talking about it on Reddit.
On Reddit. I found that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Reddit's where people actually have intelligent conversations about stuff like this.
Reddit is pretty good. I agree.
That's probably where I should be spending more of my time instead of the bullshit that I do.
But there's also,
I mean, absolutely had to be an influence, right? Like,
I mean, it's 100%.
There's no way that wasn't. Yeah.
If
I listened to what you sent,
copied it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say I listened to what you sent over because I don't have Apple TV, so I didn't watch Severance. So, but I listened to it. I was like, I'm right back there. I'm right there with Harry.
Yep.
I'm back.
Yep. And it honestly makes sense too because in the theme of Severance is very much about like Big Brother and surveillance.
Oh, absolutely.
And like this paranoia. Like the themes are spot on. Yeah. The co-editor, Richard Chew, I believe he was the savior, one of the saviors of Star Wars. Oh my God, you're right. Yes.
Like he came in with money?
He came in and saved the edit because what George Lucas put together was boring as fuck.
Yeah.
And
Not surprised by that.
He won an Oscar for it.
I just watched the Industrial Light and Magic documentaries, and yes, that's absolutely true. They don't go like they don't like they're not that effusive about it.
But I mean, but like the Empire of Dreams talked about like how nobody was liking the original cut, so Lucas brought his wife in, Richard Chew, and somebody else was the third person, but Chew also edited Cuckoo's Nest. So here we go. It all leads back to
all does. They were all contemporaries.
Yeah.
Then it all
David
leads back
Shire.
to
We
Ken
should mention
Kesey.
the piano score for this. He is married to Talia Shire for 10 years.
Yep.
That's where Talia got her married name.
So that good old fashioned Coppola nepotism right there.
Yeah. But I mean, is it nepotism if you're talented?
No, I mean it's
only nepotism if you're on the outside getting fucked.
yeah. I mean, if you're a little super left wing YouTuber, you'll call it nepo baby. But if you're talented, you're talented. If you're also making your own movie with no studio involvement, hire who the fuck you
hire who you know you can get for cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's married to your daughter?
Not daughter, sister.
Jesus, yeah.
That would have been a really weird relationship.
That would be weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also look at his filmography because it's incredible.
Yeah, it is pretty good. Yeah.
I just want to note right now that the conversation about the conversation is longer than the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, we did it then.
Well, we did it. But we are not done with Mr. Hackman. He will be long remembered for many, many, many wonderful roles. There are more that we could talk about. More that we didn't choose that we could have chosen.
Two we mentioned, like Hoosiers. You haven't
Hoosiers, the replacements
could be talked about.
Yeah,
in a sport month.
In terms of his more serious stuff, like Mississippi Burning, of course, is in there. But yeah, so he may be gone, but he won't be forgotten. And now it's time to move on to the next memorable remembrance, and we will cover a couple of movies from David Lynch. And first up, we're going to visit Mulholland Drive.
There's some damn good movies.
Oh boy.
Mulholland Drive is probably mostly going to be me drooling over Naomi Watts, one of the most attractive women on the planet.
That will certainly be part of it. Yes.
I mean, every time I see her, I'm taken aback by how beautiful she is.
Probably at her most beautiful in this movie too. Like,
I mean, she was the perfect pick for King Kong for Peter Jackson. It's like, you did it.
She is ethereal in this until she's not, because
that's fine.
She's definitely not always ethereal in this movie.
Well, that's all right.
But that's part of the plot, and we'll talk about it next week.
We'll talk about that next week. So, June 18th, come on back. And let's talk about Mulholland Drive and get into David Lynch so that Jason can bury him and eulogize him appropriately.
Indeed.
So go to filmseizure.com. That's where you can find all of our episodes, where you can find all the places you can subscribe and follow us on social media and the whatnots. Also, next Monday, on Monster Mondays, also at filmseizure.com, I have Gamera 2 Attack of Legion. What? That's those weirdo Gamera movies that Jason really needs to watch soon.
I know, I need to watch them.
I'd watch all three of those mid-90s ones because they flow one into the next. So that is Monday afternoon, the 16th. Let's do that, shall we?
Let's do it.
And then this upcoming Friday at my website, bmovieanima.com, I have a review of 2013's Lucky Bastard, which is a found footage horror movie about a porno shoot.
Nice.
And I only became aware of it because people on YouTube said it was the worst movie ever made. And I'm like, okay, all right, we'll see about that. And guess what? It ain't.
Challenge.
It ain't. It's not very good, but it's not the worst movie ever made. People are weird about sex. Anyway.
I mean, that's just the kind of thing people want to attribute to movies these days.
What, the
Like
worst or the
finding
best?
the worst movie.
Yeah, but this was a lot of like, I think just weirdo, like not being comfortable with sex in movies. It's a thing too right now.
Well,
It's really
of course
weird.
it is. Of course it is.
It's really weird. It's like, well, what is this movie supposed to be about? Anyway, enough about that. Let's get the fuck out of here. Until then, I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I am Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.